Welcome everyone, I hope you're having a very wonderful day, and welcome to my guide for gray wolves for the Yukon. Before we begin, I want to quickly break down how today's guide is going to work. So, our first section will be covering their hotspots and locations, and then we're going to move on to weapon recommendations, and then end today's video with the animal profile, which they have custom map, time zones, ammo chart, and more. Everything you need to make your hunting life 10 times easier. So, let's get right into it with their drinking time. These guys drink between 0 to 3, so you will be doing some night hunting. I highly recommend just bringing the night vision binoculars out. I don't see a reason for the scopes on this map, as it's pretty easy to spot the gray wolves on the embankments due to how mostly there's snow on the map, or just how barren it is, as you guys can see from my screen here, right here. Like, see, that's pretty easy to spot them. See, and we can actually see some wolves right now traveling. So you don't really need the binoculars. Even if we just pull out the regular ones, you are going to be able to spot them pretty easily. So nighttime in the Yukon is not so bad. So let's move on to their actual locations. We're going to be covering every single gray wolf location I can find. So, or have found, let me just put it that way. So we're going to come off over here, and we're going to start with the bottommost location for gray wolves. The singular lake right here, right below this lookout point, can house gray wolves. And further up here, we do have a river stretch location. This is the only point, or actually it's technically 2 points on the river that gray wolves can be at. We have one zone right here, and I could not find any more further down, so I think it's only at this end. If we come up north just a little bit, we do have this one right here. Now, I looked it up, and you can get animal zones here, but for some reason this lake for me is just dead. I don't understand it. I've not found a single zone here, but I do recommend checking it out and see what you can find. Coming off over here to the right, we have 3 lakes here. We're not counting the one at the bottom right here where my mouse is on that moose and need zone, because you cannot have gray wolves there, but all the lakes between the 2 outposts can house gray wolves, and I do think I have at least one zone per lake here. At least the top one does. The bottom one here has one, and the one on the left also has one. If we come up north here, gray wolves can reside at this lake as well, but I've not seen any down here, so I didn't mark it, but I've heard that you can get gray wolves at this location. Haven't found any, no singles have spawned yet, but I think it's pretty possible, because as we come up north, this is the second point on the river where you can have gray wolves. It's not technically on the river, it's at these 3 little lakes here. I did have a gray wolf zone right here, a pretty good pack of them right there, but I do think they can also stretch to the other 2 lakes over here. Now we're going to move off to the left-hand side. Now I'm not going to try to find all the gray wolf zones to showcase you for this next area, because it's pretty, I got a lot of drinking zones, to be quite honest. But we do have a few gray wolf locations in this marsh. I didn't set it as a hotspot because they're kind of sparse in between the marsh. But I'm pretty sure if you tent it up, it would probably be a pretty good spot to hunt these guys. You do have some open terrain that you can spot them, but I did just mark it as just a regular spot. So I do recommend checking this out and combing through the entire marsh, seeing what you can find. And as we come off to the left-hand side, I did not mark this little lake as a hot spot or a spot in general, because I really just been over there multiple times and just not seen a single thing. So I didn't mark that. But if we come off over here to our left side, the farthest left side of the map and the northernmost point, this is the final location, or the highest point that you can find gray wolves. Now this is a hot spot. I have about maybe 7 zones here. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3. Let's see. They should all be on this left side. 4, 5. Yeah, we got about 5. We actually have 5 at this zone. I thought I had more, but I do have 5 zones for gray wolves here, and they're all found on the left-hand side. I could not find a single one on the right-hand side of this lake, but as we come down, I do think this lake could be a hot spot. I just marked it as a common spot because I only have 2 gray wolf zones here, but I feel like if you're lucky enough, this could turn into a pretty good hot spot. And if we come off to the right here where we have this big amount of hunting pressure, I do have 2 gray wolf zones at this tiny lake, and they were very mean when I went over there. As we come down over here, I do have 2 more hotspot locations. The reason why I list this as a hotspot location is if you just place a tent right between these 2 lakes, you'll have pretty much ease of access bouncing between them and dealing with the wolves. I don't have any wolves at this lake, however, because I kind of just obliterated the zone. So I've not been back over there to check, but we should probably have maybe 1 group or a few singles back over there. But this is the spot we're going to be checking out today, the lake right next to it. I have about 3 zones of gray wolves here, all pretty good groups, but you could probably have more at this lake. And we're going to come off down here to the final location where gray wolves can reside, this big old copper bowl lake. I have probably, I don't know, we have probably about 6 zones. We should at least have 6 zones. We have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, 6, And we should have 7. This is the zone that I thought had 7. So we do have 7 zones for Copper Bowl Lake. I consider this a hotspot, although I will recommend tenting up at least 2 to 3 tents, maybe 4, just to traverse around the whole Copper Bowl Lake, because it is pretty massive. And I only have 1 tent set up now, which I definitely need at least 2 more. So that's pretty much it for all the Grey Wolf hotspots and locations. We're going to head back over to the outpost where we're going to be covering a few weapons. So I will see you guys there in just a second. Alrighty folks, so here we are back at the outpost. Before we begin, I want to quickly mention 3 things. First things first is I'm only going to be covering rifles, handguns, and shotguns. I'll not be covering bows because I'm not a bow expert, so I'll leave that to professionals. Secondly, these are just my personal recommendations and favorites. I always say go out there and explore and see what suits you and what you enjoy playing with. And then lastly, I'll be mentioning whatever DLC these weapons come from in case you want to pick them up for yourself. So let's get right into it with our first rifle today. The M1 Garand, or Garand, however you want to pronounce it, is a very iconic World War II rifle with a beautiful ping sound once you empty your entire mag there, or your clip. I just want to pronounce that properly there. It does not take mags, it does take clips. It's just a very solid rifle with dealing with these wolves, as I want to mention that they can come up to you with a pack of 9 at maximum. I think their max is 9, but yeah, that's a pretty hefty number to deal with. I actually lost a recent battle with them because I was not prepared properly when I encountered them, so I do recommend when dealing with these guys to bring a semi-auto rifle and a semi-auto handgun or shotgun, maybe just all 3 in general, because you know these guys can be a handful. You might mess up a shot, but I do recommend bringing the M1. It's a very good choice, chambered in 30-06. It's just a phenomenal rifle, and you can find it in the Smoke and Barrels weapon pack. Moving on to our second rifle today here, we're going to be talking about the Model 1894 lever action. It's chambered in 44. Now, I have brought this up in previous videos, and it's just a very phenomenal lever action. The 44 round just overpens. It will dispatch these wolves with relative ease, which is with some well-placed shots. So I do recommend bringing it. It will just pen straight down. Like, if you shoot them frontally, it might go out their back end, to be quite honest. It's just that powerful. So I do recommend it. You can find it in the Ambusher Pack DLC. Very solid choice. Moving on to our third and final rifle of the day here. Here she is, the Zarza 10308. This is a very phenomenal rifle. You have 5 rounds in there, just like the M1. And to be quite honest with you, I would bring both when dealing with these wolves, just in case. You have 10 rounds altogether, all semi-automatic, so I do recommend that. The 308, though, is very solid. Not a lot of recoil. You can play some pretty well-placed shots with it, and it'll definitely do in a pinch, so I do recommend it. Very good choice, and you can find it in the Modern Rifle Pack DLC. Moving on to handguns. Now, a lot of people are going to be suspecting right now that I'm about to recommend the 4570 Jernberg. It's basically my favorite pistol in the game. However, not this time. We're going to be talking about the 10 mil. As I said, these wolves can come up in groups of 9. You're going to want this. You got 15 rounds in it. It covers their class up to 6. So you're going to be able to dispatch these wolves and get a full integrity kill with the 10 mil. So I do recommend it. It's very good. Just put the red dot on it and go to town when they get close to you. It's just probably the best sidearm of choice when dealing with the wolves, and you can find it in the Assorted Sidearms Pack DLC. Moving on to shotguns, we're going to be talking about my favorite shotgun in the game, the Strandberg 10 gauge. Now, this thing's semi-automatic. You have 4 rounds in the tube, and just put some slugs in it and just go to town. It's definitely going to help you in a pinch. It's not going to be able to take out the whole group that's coming at you. However, you'll be able to take out a few, so I recommend just bringing a rifle with this thing if you're out there hunting these gray wolves, if you're at least trying to just use your shotgun, just in case they try to attack you. But you can find this beautiful shotgun in the High Caliber Weapon Pack DLC. So that's pretty much it for the weapons, guys. I'm going to meet you guys over at the animal profile in just a second. Alrighty folks, so here we are at the end of today's video. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to do a quick animal profile breakdown. So, starting left hand side, we have all of our basic gray wolf information. We have our class, difficulty, silver, gold, diamond, threshold. We have our weight from least to greatest in kilograms and in pounds. We have our fur types covering common and very rare. Now I do want to mention, I feel like some of these fur types could be considered rare. Once I get more information, I'll definitely adjust that or leave that down in the YouTube comments just so you guys can see that when I do update it. So, moving on to the center here, we pretty much covered all the information there at the beginning of today's video. Moving on, top right hand corner, we have all of our time zones here nice and organized for you. And then below that, we have that ammo chart for those full integrity kills. So, that pretty much does it for today's video, folks. If this guide does help you and you did enjoy it, please drop a like. It really helps out the channel. With that out of the way, I hope you guys have a very wonderful day. Happy hunting, good luck, and I will see you guys in the next one.